Welcome to We Learn. This is session number 8 of part 1 of RDBMS on relation data model. In this session we are going to cover topic of introduction, relational database, relation instances, functional dependencies, rules about functional dependencies, design of relational database schemas, anomalies, redundant information in tuples and update anomalies, two relation schemas suffering from update anomalies, guideline to redundant information in tuples and update anomalies, and null value in tuples. Now let's start with the introduction of relational data model. Basically, in the relational data model, data is represented as two-dimensional table is called a relation, and relation have names and the column have name is called attribute. जैसे कि आपको पता है रिलेशन आपके मोर देन वन थिंग्स के बीच में बनता है और इन द टेबल के टर्म्स में अगर हम बात करते हैं दैट्स वेरी नॉट नेसेसरी दैट मोर देन वन टेबल दैट कैन क्रिएट यू कैन क्रिएट द रिलेशन. If you see in the table single also there can be relation between the two column as well. So the relation have the name and the column have name is called a attribute that can also be have with the relation. And the next is the element in a column must be atomic. An elementary type such a number, string, date or timestamp and for a single domain. जब हम टेबल क्रिएट करते हैं उसके अंदर जब हम कॉलम डिफाइन करते हैं तो उसके लिए हमें ज़रूरी होता है हम उसके डाटा टाइप भी डिफाइन करें. जैसे कि अगर हम नंबर्स डाल रहे हैं, अगर एग्जांपल की बात करते हैं रोल नंबर हमें लेना है तो रोल नंबर के लिए हमें डाटा टाइप डिफाइन करता है इंट या नंबर वी टेक द डाटा टाइप. एंड इफ वी टॉक अबाउट द कैरेक्टर्स वी टेक द नेम तो वी रिक्वायर्ड हियर द स्ट्रिंग and you can take as well as date and time as per required. So these are very necessary to define in the data types. Next is here the example that we use the relational. Let's see here employee relation is a table of names, that birth date, social security number. That see I hope you are able to see here in the front of you the slide mentioned here. The relation name is a employee and this table contain column as this column that represent name, birth date and SS number. This column are the attributes and the next that we taken here data of this column correspondingly the heading. So these are called here data. This is the basic example of relational. Next is the relation database. A relational database is a finite set of relation schemas is called database schema. We call the basically schema that is the table structure. A table structure is called a schema. Let's see again I will tell you the from last diagram. In this diagram if we concentrate only this heading area, not this data area, the empty table will have only heading, then this is called a schema. I hope it will be very clear to you about schema. And the corresponding set of relation instances called database instance. Next is database schema. Database schema is set of relation schema for the relation in a design. हम जो schema डिज़ाइन करते हैं between the database. So the database schema होता है वो set करते हैं relations between the one and more schema in the form of the design. So in this relation design schema, next is the relation instances. A relation instance is a table with row and named columns. The row in relation instance is just a relation is called tuple. Let's take an example. We consider a table. This last example we taken a table this. In this table if we are talking about only this row where the name, date of birth and SS number are given here, a single row that these rows are called here tuple and this column are called here attribute and field you can say. So this was about the tuple And next is here the cardinality of the relation is the number of tuple in it. If we talk about the what is cardinality, cardinality show the total number of relation that can occur. The cardinality of relation is the number of tuple in it, and the name of the column are called attribute, as I told you, and the number of column in a relation is called arity as well of the relation. The type constraint that the relation instance must satisfy is the attribute name that must correspond to the attribute name for the corresponding schema. अगर हम कुछ रिलेशन बनाते हैं, उसके अंदर कुछ कंस्ट्रेंट लगाते हैं, कंस्ट्रेंट मीन देयर आर सर्टेन रूल दैट कैन अप्लाई यूनिकनेस आल्सो on the column. So they are the corresponding attribute for related the corresponding schema, and the tuple, that value must corresponding to the domain value and specified in the corresponding schema. Tuple, that is the row value contain corresponding the column heading. That's I already shown you in the diagram. Next is here functional dependency. What is the functional dependency? Let's see here what is the mention in front of this slide. That functional dependency, in short we use here FD, that are used to specify formal measure for goodness of relational design, and the key are used to define normal forms for relation. They are the constraints that are derived from meaning and interrelationship of the data attributes. I would like to tell about basically functional dependency consider relation when the one thing is depend on the another. Like we want to retrieve a value of y, and that is to be get y only by the basis of x. So that is dependency. Here we used to specify that first point that says here that used to specify formal measure to goodness of relation design. आप कैसे डिजाइन इसमें कर रहे हैं, कैसे डाटा एक्सट्रैक्ट कर रहे हैं, and key are used to define normal forms of relation, and constraint that I told you that are the some uniqueness, and that is the meaning of interrelationship of the data attributes. Next point is here a set of attributes x functionally determine a set of attribute y if the value of x determine a unique value of y. This example I taken you, two value we have x and y, and x is functionally determine a set of attribute that is in the y. So if y value for x determine a unique value, so this show here dependencies. A function dependencies, these are the next example that show how can we represent here dependency. Like this pointer that show the x pointer y that hold for whenever two tuple have the same value for x, they must have same value for y. That show here whatever the value of x, that is same as the y. So y is dependent on here x. So for any two tuple t1 and t2 in any relation instance are here, we taken here tuple that are of row of any table, and x is data correspondingly to tuple 1 is equal to tuple 2, then tuple y is equal to tuple 2 of y, because as above we see that y is depend on x. What value will be x? Will be the same as y. And next taken here x point to y in our specified constraint in all relation instance, that is R, in which we are watching this dependencies, that is in a relation that we taken by the denoted by symbol R and written as by this x point to y, that you can display here graphical notation by this denoted arrow that represent here dependency basically. And FDs are derived, means functional dependencies are derived from real world constraints on attributes. I hope it will be very clear to you functional dependency. Next there are some rule about the functional dependency. Let f is a function to be set of functional dependency specified on R is the relation. The point is next, the must be able to reason about functional dependency in f, that is अगर आपकी इस फंक्शन में कुछ डिपेंडेंसी हैं तो क्या उनकी रीजंस हैं. Schema designer usually explicitly states only functional dependency which are obvious. जो schema design करते हैं उसके अंदर it's very explicitly कुछ states ऐसी होती है जिसकी वजह से हमारी function dependencies होती हैं. Without knowing exactly what all tuples are, must be able to deduce other all function dependency are to hold on R. हमारी विदाउट इंफॉर्मेशन एंड एग्जैक्टली कि कैसे हमारी टपल्स डिड्यूस करती है हमारी फंक्शन डिपेंडेंसी को बाय द अनदर एट्रीब्यूट्स इन द रिलेशन आर. एंड द नेक्स्ट एसेंशियल व्हेन वी डिस्कस डिजाइन ऑफ गुड देयर इज द रिलेशन स्कीमा. This was the rule about function dependency. And next is here design of relational database schema. That we are talking about the design as previously. So what is here database schema? In the term of designing we are discussing here. We distinguish between database schema in the term of logical design. As I told you, in the logical we talk about the logical. You make the relation logically, and the database instance, that is a point on a particular time if you see the here relation. So a relation schema is a list of attributes and their corresponding domains. आप जो relations create करते हैं on a particular table structure पे between their columns या attributes. So text use the following this convention. It can be italic all names, lower name for relation and attributes, names beginning with an uppercase of relation schemas. Next is we are going to discuss about the anomaly. Anomaly we say the term that is means problem. So problem, such a redundancy that occur when we try to cram too much into a single relation is called anomaly. Anomalies, that means you are getting here something problem. जब आपको डाटा बहुत सारी duplicacies हो जाती हैं, आप डाटा extract करने की कोशिश करते हैं, but they create the problem to exactly what you want, you are not able to get it. So the principal kind of anomalies that are encountered are here, that is redundancy. Information may be repeated unnecessarily in the retrieval tuples. And update anomaly, we may change information in one tuple but leave the same information unchanged in another. And deletion anomaly, if a set of value become empty, we may lose other information as a side effect. जैसे कि आपको बताया रिडंडेंसी में क्या होता है, हमारे डाटा की अननेसेसरी डाटा रिपीटेशन होने में सारी प्रॉब्लम्स क्रिएट होती हैं, इंफॉर्मेशन रिपीट होती रहती है. अपडेट एनॉमलीज में हम जो चेंजेस करते हैं इंफॉर्मेशन में इन द पर्टिकुलर टपल बट द लीव दैट सम इंफॉर्मेशन आर अनचेंज. कई इंफॉर्मेशन में हम चेंज कर लेते हैं बट ड्यू टू सम रीजन दैट कैन क्रिएट बट सम ऑफ दैट रो आर द लेफ्ट टू बी अनचेंज्ड. एंड इन डिलीशन, अगर हमारी कुछ डिपेंडेंसी होती है जिसकी वजह से हमारा कुछ डाटा लॉस हो भी जाता है कुछ डिलीशन की वजह से, इफ वी सेट ऑफ वैल्यू बिकम एम्प्टी देन वी मे लूज अदर इंफॉर्मेशन. दैट इज द साइड इफेक्ट ऑफ हेयर इन द डिलीशन. दे आर द रिडंडेंट इंफॉर्मेशन इन टपल्स and update anomalies. Here the information that we store redundantly means इसमें duplicacy हो जाती है डाटा में, तो आपकी वेस्टेज ऑफ स्टोरेज भी होती है एंड एज वेल एज आप डाटा रिट्रीव भी नहीं कर पाते हैं. So they are, due to this redundancy we get these problems are here that cause the problem with update anomaly are here insertion anomaly, deletion anomaly and modification anomaly. That can be arise due to the lots of redundant data in the table. Next is here some example that we can show here about update anomaly. Means you are doing some changes. Consider here a relation. This slide show a relation of employee and related with the project. And this table, this is basically a schema you can say. This table employee of the project contain employee number, project number, employee name, P name that is the project name and number of hours. And the update anomaly here that changing the name of project number P1 from billing to customer accounting may cause this update be made for all 100 employees working on project P1. अगर आप किसी इनके अकाउंट्स में यहाँ से कुछ चेंजेस करते हैं तो उसकी टेबल का यहाँ पे ये चेंजेस इफेक्ट इन सब पर करना पड़ता है। यहाँ पे जितने भी 100 एम्प्लॉयज होंगे तो सबका हमारा उस P1 के प्रोजेक्ट का ये इफेक्ट पड़ता है। दैट मीन्स दे क्रिएट हियर द प्रॉब्लम इन द अपडेट। नेक्स्ट दैट एग्जाम्पल ऑफ इंसर्ट एनॉमली। अगर आप कुछ इंसर्ट करते हैं तब क्या प्रॉब्लम्स आती हैं? दैट कंसिडर अगेन दैट सेम रिलेशन एम्प्लॉय प्रोजेक्ट विद द सेम कॉलम नेम। नाउ इन द इंसर्ट एनॉमली कैन नॉट इंसर्ट अ प्रोजेक्ट unless an employee is assigned to it। जब तक हमारे को प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर हम चेंजेस नहीं कर सकते, जब तक हमारे को कोई एम्प्लॉय नेम आईडी नहीं दे रखा होगा, तब तक हम उसके अंदर प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर कोई चेंजेस नहीं कर सकते। मीन्स देयर आर द डिपेंडेंसी, वी कैन नॉट इंसर्ट हियर। सो कन्वर्सली कैन नॉट इंसर्ट एम्प्लॉय अनलेस ही और शी असाइंड टू अ प्रोजेक्ट। Next is the example on delete anomaly, how the problem arises at the time of delete. Again we are applying delete anomaly on the same table, on the same schema here. Delete anomaly, when the project is deleted, it will result in deleting all the employee who work on that project. अगर आप पर्टिकुलर एक प्रोजेक्ट की डिटेल डिलीट करते हैं तो बट उसकी वजह से जितना भी सारे एम्प्लॉयज पे लिंक होता है वो सब डिलीट हो जाता है. सो अल्टीमेटली if an employee is sole employee on a project, that deleting that employee would result in deleting the corresponding project. This was the deleting anomaly problem. This was the diagram that shown here how these dependencies and the problem arises here. In this two relation schema, taken one is the here employee department. This was the employee project. By this arrow that show here the SSN number, that is the unique. Through the SSN number we can get the value of E name, that employee name, B date, birth date, address and department number. These values are depend on SSN. But if we can get D name and D manager SSN, that is department, that D stand for here department, that can these two can get value from this D number. So D number depend on here SSN. Till we didn't get SN, we cannot retrieve this value. So this is the problem. And employee project, this show here that this project number can extract here value. If you know the SSN number as well as P number, then you can extract hour. If you know the SSN number, then only you can extract employee name. If you know the project number, then you can extract the project name and the project location. These are the three dependencies here. Next is the some guideline to redundant information in tuples and update anomalies. The guidelines are: design a schema that does not suffer from the insertion, deletion and update anomalies. हमें इसमें ऐसा स्कीमा डिज़ाइन करना होता है ताकि हमें इन तीनों में के अंदर इंसर्ट करना हो या डिलीट करना है या अपडेट करना है, इनके अंदर कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं आनी चाहिए. इफ देयर आर एनी एनॉमलीज प्रेजेंट देन नोट देम सो दैट एप्लीकेशन कैन बी मेड टू टेक देम इनटू अकाउंट. More are here to about null value in the tuples. Null value basically here empty. That is if you are entering some data in the table and on that time if you are unaware what value should be filled here, so you give it empty. So if many of the problem is arise kind this, so many of the empty value should be left in the table. So this empty value again can create problem. So we need to here very lessly to be used null and to properly manage to this null value in the tuple, means in the rows. So what are guidelines according to these are shown in front of you the slide. Relation S should be designed such that their tuples will have as a few null values as possible. हमें रिलेशन ऐसा डिजाइन करना चाहिए जिसके अंदर कम से कम हमारी null वैल्यू हो. मतलब आपके पास ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए तो आपको वैल्यू अननोन हो. अगर जितनी अननोन होंगी तो उसमें प्रॉब्लम्स बढ़ जाएंगी. Attributes that are null frequently could be placed in separate relation with the primary key. So अगर आपको कोई आपके एट्रीब्यूट नल ज़्यादा फ्रीक्वेंटली प्लेस होता है तो आप उसके एक सेपरेट टेबल क्रिएट कर सकते हैं अकॉर्डिंग टू एज पर रिक्वायरमेंट. And the reason for the null are that can be if many times you are reason that you create the null are these: attribute not applicable or invalid, Attribute value unknown may exist but you are not aware. Value known to exist but unavailable. These are the reasons through which null value arises in the table. This is the exercise in front of you that you can try it by yourself. That what do you mean by anomalies? Explain with example. And what is functional dependency? This is all about today's session. We are now winding up here. Thank you so much. Happy learning. We learn.